one of the most controversial aspects of the Nation of Islam that sets us apart and distinguishes us from really pretty much all religion. Because as I said in the opening, we believe that God came. When I say God, I'm talking about the spirit, the force, the power, the wisdom of God came and appeared and manifested in the form of a human being. And that human being literally taught Elijah Muhammad for about 3.5 years and taught him things that this world, for the most part, did not know, or at least the public did not know. And to show some level of proof that God came, he would raise up a man who only had a 3rd or 4th grade education, and he would put in that man's head and in that man's mind certain wisdom and certain truths that would not become evident until decades after the man was among us. Proof that somebody was here. Huh? So it is our intention to try to discuss just a few points. We'll be here all day if we really wanted to deal now. But just a few points that deal with the fact that Elijah Muhammad's God must be God. For example, back in the 30s, the 1930s now, Elijah Muhammad said that his God told him a few things and dared the scientific world to disprove him. Now put yourself in the mindset of the early 30s now. Think about the limited technological advances occurring in the 1930s. But this little fella from Georgia named Elijah Muhammad said that his God told him that that moon that we see, that beautiful moon we see at night, it was once part of the earth. Huh? Now that would sound crazy as hell, wouldn't it? If you back in 1930. But he said that the moon that you see was once part of the earth. But due to a tremendous cataclysmic explosion that took place some 66 trillion years ago, he said it was an explosion from Earth that took that part out and formed what you now call moon, which is the Earth satellite. Now, even among scientists, something like that would sound totally absurd in the 1930s or 40s, maybe even the 50s. But then, people started advancing in technology, so something happened that even in the 60s, President Kennedy and others said, you know what, I think we can take some people to the moon. And in the late 60s, 1969, if I'm not mistaken, people went to the moon. And they took the moon's dust, brought it back, put it in their laboratories. And according to them, they said that, this moon dust has all of the elements of the Earth's atmosphere, but it must be burnt. As though there was been an explosion, like gunpowder almost. But hold up, don't you know, in 1975, these NASA scientists, I said NASA scientists now, I ain't say little Leroy NASA that just got out. I'm talking about NASA, the aeronautical people who study astronomy, who study the cosmos and the universe and the planets and their relationship. These scientists, since 1975, concluded that the moon, Earth's satellite, definitely was part of the Earth. Where the hell did they get that from? Nobody was talking this kind of talk now. And don't you know, just recently, they have come up with more findings just regarding the moon. Because at first their theory was that some huge meteor collided with Earth, which caused an explosion and put the moon out there. But then, based on the samples of the moon dust and more studies, they have concluded, as of recently, I'm talking about 2012, that it was not an external force that collided into the Earth. It was some explosion that occurred from the Earth. Elijah's God might be God, y'all. He taught about the origin of people. Now, even in 2012, some of us, if you say black people are the original people, although science, history, anthropology, all this verifies it, even some of us who don't know better will say, no, see, God just made everybody. Huh? But Elijah Muhammad said that no, this black man is the original man. All proceeded forth and came from, all people are derived from these black people, the original people. He even gave more specific information about the development and advent of the Caucasian man. He said that the Caucasian people are a relatively new race to this earth. The Caucasian race in particular are a people who have derived themselves only approximately 6,000 years ago. And they were brought about through a process of selective breeding. In science, we call that grafting. I know a little bit about grafting now, brothers and sisters. See, among my many endeavors, I'm a beekeeper. I keep honeybees, harvest honey. And sometimes you can literally alter the genetic makeup of the bees by breeding them a certain way. You can produce queens if you need to. That's another story, but the fact is, this is a scientific reality. But he says that this Caucasian was just brought about, maybe about 6,000 years ago. Now, according to their recent studies, they say that these blue eyes and this real pale Caucasian-like skin and blue eyes, this only dates back between, they say, 6,000 and 10,000. Come close enough, right? And according to them, people with blue eyes have a single common ancestor, according to new research. A team of scientists has tracked down a genetic mutation that leads to blue eyes. The mutation, you know what mutation is? That's like a code word in science for making something, developing something. This mutation occurred between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago. So before then, there were no blue eyes. So in other words, before then, there were no people with blue eyes. No white folk. Can I make it plain scientifically for you? Then they talk about, they always talk about cavemen and Neanderthals and whatnot. Now, we know the history in the Nation of Islam, and we know that there were certain people in the caves over in Europe. Not you. While they were in the caves in Europe, you were at the peak of civilization in Africa. And our civilization was just starting to fall when the advent of the Caucasian rose. But he was in the caves. This is what you refer to as these Neanderthals and cavemen and whatnot. But according to them, it says some Neanderthals may have had fair skin and red hair, giving them an appearance resembling modern Europeans. An international team of researchers said yesterday. So it wasn't you in the caves now. They admit, well, it was us, but notice how they use that nice scientific language. According to researchers, the Neanderthals were likely to be European descent. But if you can't read past the scientific terminology, you'll be believing just like the rest of the people. Oh, we all came. The God just made everybody at the same time. It's just... I'm saying Elijah Muhammad's God must be God.